Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praise to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who was the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening. Gives us more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth. So we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Brethren, you're seeing the hypocrisy being played out day by day. This morning I saw this, and it was like I'd already had some information already kind of set up for a video. It hadn't had had been told to kind of wait on some of the videos I'm trying to get ready to put out, and then this popped up, and it went perfectly with what we're going to talk about today. Pope Francis has called on Vladimir Putin to stop the massacre in Ukraine, warning cities risk being reduced to cemeteries. I'm like, what? Yeah, you're one to be talking about that. The hypocrisy is just right there in your face. You guys still have dumb diversus in effect. You're able to go and put people in slavery until different. Those are still policies that your church enforces. And it's just amazing because they're trying to tell other people to stop the massacre when this church, the Priesthood of Mahan, has been responsible for massacring people worldwide. And you don't hear many people even talking about it. You don't hear the Christian church talking about it. You don't hear their parishioners talking about it. You don't hear parishioners in the Catholic Church talking about it. You don't hear people in all these different religions talking about it because they're all Confederate. They're all part of that Psalms 83 group that won't talk about that, but will attack the people that have been called to actually just bring this information to light. They'll use people that look just like us to attack us for bringing the truth. There's one guy online, supposed Hebrew, talking about sending out curses on myself and others who are bringing supposedly a different doctrine. Mind you, this person who keeps doing this hasn't done one video in 1 to 2 months, but thinks he's in some kind of a position to curse people who are being used to return our history to the people. They're not doing the work. Well, they're not doing the work for the people, but they are doing the work for the priesthood of Mahan. See, you don't need to, it doesn't matter what you look like. I'm looking at your works. And when you can fix your face and fix your mouth to send out curses to brothers who are supposedly bringing out new doctrine of the Kabbalah and the Zohar, but you yourself can't put out more than one video every 1 to 2 months, who's really doing the work of the Most High? See, you're doing the work of this guy right here on the screen. You're doing the work of the Catholic Church. Let me show you how. What do you say? Oh, you need to be teaching the same things that the apostles taught. You need to be teaching the same thing that Yahweh Shai taught. Okay. Now, if I'm going to stick with only the Bible, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Where are the other 8 apostles' information? What did they write? What were they teaching? Why don't we have access to those? Oh, because people in this guy's organization told you can't read that. Now you're saying, oh, well, you got to make sure you're doing exactly what Yahweh Shai did and teach what he taught. Okay. Well, we have the New Testament. We have the Bible. Are you trying to tell me that you're positive that everything Yahushua taught is only in the Bible and he didn't teach anything else that's in other books? You can prove that. Can you prove that? Well, I already know the answer to that. No, you can't. See, a lot of these people, they say they're Hebrews and they say they're this, but all they're doing is defending the priest of Mahan doctrine. And then sending out curses on people who choose not to follow the priesthood of Mahan doctrine. So see, that's how you know who's who. If all you're doing is fighting to defend this guy and defend his church and defend his doctrine, you're nothing but a Hebrew Catholic. You know, I said, since you only do videos once every 2 months, why don't you make a video, you know, actually showing us how Second Esdras 44 on is being you know, instigated or enforced or is coming to fruition right now. Why don't you show us how these other books are supposed to be released to the people? If all you're going to do is fight to push priesthood of Mahan doctrine, then show me how that's supposed to be executed when you're only looking at the Bible that your enemies have given you. And see, this guy he doesn't talk about the Pope. I haven't heard him talk about the Pope. I haven't heard him talk about the history that's been taken away from us. All they want to do is talk about the Zohar or the Kabbalah. And say, I'm going to go with someone else. Okay, there's a brother, Zion Lex. This brother's actually a scholar. He actually knows the language, which I'm sure most of us do not have that type of understanding. And when he can say that there's these secret teachings that are in the Bible that go back to oral traditions, which goes back to the Kabbalah, I'm going to pretty much listen to what he says. And I'm not going to listen to someone who doesn't even know the language, who's dependent upon an English translation and thinks that they have 100% understanding because the Bible was translated into a language that's not our own. And these were the same people who have been working to keep all this information from us. So that's why you got to be really careful when you're sitting here pronouncing curses on people, because pretty much you're only trying to pronounce a curse on someone who's not following Catholic doctrine. So therefore, now you're no different than these priests. You're no different than these pastors who have been using nothing but fear to keep us from following and chasing after our traditions. So just because you look like us, the work you don't put in shows me exactly who you are. So I would suggest you concentrate on developing your channel, developing your information, and teaching the people on your channel instead of worrying about what we're doing over here. And then thinking you're somehow in some kind of position to pronounce curses on people because we choose not to follow the doctrine of our enemies. We choose not to follow the doctrine that was shoved and down our people's throats for the last 500 plus years. Sorry, I don't trust someone who has taken my history, my heritage, and given it to everyone else and told me that my history started with slavery. If that's what you want to do, be my guest. But I was just putting in more work before you start talking about other people. So as you can see right here, Pope Francis has called on Vladimir Putin to stop the massacre in Ukraine, warning cities risk being reduced to cemeteries, just like they did. They came over here and reduced all of our cities to cemeteries. And if that wasn't bad enough, then they hid it all. Then they're the ones that came with a new doctrine. After they destroyed all of our cities and reduced them to cemeteries, these are the ones that came with the new Jesus and the new doctrine, which was what? Oh, love your enemies. Love, love, love. peace and forgiveness. We want peace. See, after you guys have taken everything, then you went ahead and implemented that new doctrine. Okay? That's where all this new doctrine has come from. And then we're going to get into how you guys have taken our traditions, our blessings, and given them to others. We're going to review that as well. Like I said, this is just ridiculous. You know, it was something that was crazy that I saw, or that I listened to. And Paul and Adrian's last video. Paul was totally talking about the 3 different heads, I want to say, of the dragon. I was like, I sound like I'm listening. He was talking, I'm like, I'm listening to one of my videos. He was talking about how the United States was the military wing. He was talking about how England was the financial wing, and that the Vatican is the religious wing and runs everything. And everyone pretty much has to go and bow down to the Vatican. And why all the presidents have to go and kiss the ring of the Pope. I was like, oh my gosh. But see, I was like, damn, this is like a video I did a couple years ago. And he just kind of like regurgitating that same information. Now, what's funny is this: if you guys already know that you got those 3 heads of the dragon, and they've been here now for the last few hundred years, what makes you think then that the New World Order is going to destroy this system and then start all over again? When you're saying things like that, that's pretty much letting you know that that's already been in place. You've already had the New World Order. You've already been able to go around the world and destroy the whole world. It's like, so what makes you think that you're going to get another opportunity to do the same thing over and over again? That's not in the scriptures. You got a chance to do it once, and that's all you're going to get. You got your 400 plus years of your blessing, and that's it. Now you're going to get that double. Now you're going to be getting that work by the Most High, and you're getting double. You're not getting a double portion of a blessing. Now you're getting a double portion of the curses. That's what's on the world now. And the Pope here is talking like he still has some kind of a position to call for peace after they've massacred everyone. But see, if you don't know your history and you tell others to not chase after their traditions, see, that's how the Most High uses our people. Most High uses our people to keep us from chasing after our traditions. He uses people that look like us to keep us from chasing after our history. And then they say you're going to be cursed for chasing after your stuff. You're going to be cursed for chasing after your traditions. But you can see how slick the devil is. We're going to get into this one right here. America being the latest and most accurate description of the New World by Ogilvy. Okay? Talking about what the true natives look like. I want to say this book was from the 1600s. Excuse me. You know? You know, so yes, we're going to get into this one really quick. And I'm going to give you a more accurate description of what the Aborigines looked like before. Okay? Now, something I want to read real quick is how the Pope and all of these Gentiles, they were using the fact that, you know, they're talking about human sacrifices. These natives were doing the human sacrifices. So therefore, that justified all the horrible and heinous things that they were doing, because they were trying to stop the sacrifices. But actually, human sacrificing was going on all over the world. It was actually referred to even in the scriptures. So we're going to read a little bit right here. But to pass by several other people guilty of such bloody idolatry, how did the altars erected in the woods in Gaul and Germany for Turan, Hephaestus, Tetates, and Woden continually smoke with the blood of human expiations? of which, let's say, Kehar faith thus in his commentaries. The Gauls and are a very devout and superstitious nation, and therefore when any were dangerously sick or likely to be worse in battle, they vowed to seat their gods that save them with human flesh, and if need were, would make themselves thankful. Okay, sacrifice to those that help them off in such an exigence. Concerning these bloody rites, they consulted and employed the Druids, by whose advice they all believed that no victim was so acceptable to the Numens or Port Damas, human blood, but especially that of malefactors, which dainty, if they could not procure, their gods must be treated with the lives of the innocent. Lastly, the Holy Scripture saith thus: when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords to break through even to the king of Edom, but they could not. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead and offered him for a burnt offering on the wall. These testimonies are sufficient witnesses that the ancient heathens expressed the height of their devotion and fury of mad zeal in such inexorable rites as to this day. The like is practiced by the Indians, Chinefes, Japanese, and others. Wherefore, it no way was be sufficient ground to prove that the Americans were derived from the Phoenicians because of their human sacrifices, for that they were usual customs in all places. They're kind of going back, talking about if they're Phoenicians or not and stuff like that. But this just lets you know that human sacrifices were going on all over the place. And that this using that as a reason for why they could do all the things they wanted to do to the natives was just an excuse. They were given the sword, so therefore they were able to massacre these people and take over, make their cities like cemeteries and take them over for themselves. It wasn't like they just came over here to the Americas and all of a sudden they saw supposedly human sacrifices, and it was just something they'd never seen before, because these are things that were going on all over the world. Okay? But like I said, they want to use those kinds of things as just excuses for their actions. And this was crazy right here. Check out this picture. This is a picture right here of them using the dogs on the Aborigines, and you can see the Aborigines look just like us. Dark, black and brown people. And they were using the dogs to destroy them, just like it talks about in Dogs of the Conquest. And then you're going to see how they change up our history in the part right before this. So I just wanted you to see this picture first before I read, because they try to tell you where the Negroes came from. The Negroes weren't already there, supposedly. They're going to tell you, because this lie that we weren't even here was started a long time ago. Psalms 83 group got together and they said, hey, these people, we cannot let them know that they came from these lands. Cannot let the world know that these are their lands, that this is their information, that this is their history, that this is their blessing. We have to hide it. They cannot know. Okay? And the whole world has been confederate with this whole time. So this was what we found right before there. Okay? Let's see here. I'm not going to start here. But Vachas Nunez informed of Arias' arrival, the chief governor of Aruba, afterwards called New Andalusia, minding to enrich himself before he should depose him. Excuse me. And hearing that several gold mines lay southward from Aruba, marched thither with 190 men. Okay, through great rivers, thick forests and woods, full of wild beasts, deep valleys, broad rivers, not without many hazards and difficulties. In the mountainous territory, Cariquan, the inhabitants engaged him valiantly, with bows, arrows, clubs, wooden swords, pikes, and lances, but frightened with the mere report of their muskets, like flocks of wild fowl, dissipated and fled, but not so fast, but that 600 of them fell by the hands of the Spaniards and were worried by their dogs, trained up on purpose for the American wars. So, just confirming what we read in the Dogs of the Conquest. See, the Dogs of the Conquest just goes way more in depth. Okay? Soon after coming into the palace, their fate, his brother dressed up in women's apparel, when the king kept to abuse of his as if a concubine, whereof Nunez being informed, and let's see, detaflation of sodomy, set the dogs upon him, who suddenly tore him in pieces. Amongst the slain were found several Negroes. So now they're kind of, okay, there's Negroes here. All right, so we got to figure something out. We can't let them know that these Negroes are already here. So we need to come up with a story, and everyone needs to stick to it. We're going to keep coming up with all of these, all of these things that they're doing, all these allegations to justify our treatment. But we got these Negroes here, and we got to explain to the world why they're here, because they're not supposed to be here. Okay, we can't let them know that these are their lands, that this is their, that this is all their stuff that we're stealing. So what do they say? Which suffering shipwreck had been cast on the American shore, and maintained a continual war with the Caraquan, so that it seemed the blacks which were found dead amongst them were their slaves. See, we always got to be slaves. We can never be the kings. We can never be the owners of these lands. We also got shipwrecked here and then became slaves. Because that's all the history that we have, right? You see, that's what these churches have been pushing this whole time. That's all that we are. It says, yet Nunez was forced to leave a considerable number of his men here, who being half starved and quite tired out, were not able to follow him. But with the remaining party, he marched on. Okay, so main thing here. See, they've got to keep pushing that whole narrative that we're nothing but slaves, that we don't have a history. If you did find some, it's because they got shipwrecked here and they became slaves. And here at the end, as you're looking for your history, you're trying to gain your traditions back, your history back, not just the physical history, but also the spiritual, deeper history, the esoteric information. They got to make sure that they can't keep putting Gentiles out there because we're not listening to them. So therefore, they got to start putting some people that look like us to say, oh, that's not yours, that's Gentile information. I'm like, prove it. You guys keep saying this is Gentile information. Prove it. These guys have lied about absolutely everything. Where was all their history before they got over here? How is it that if the Gentiles were so smart that they didn't even know about Pluto until 1930? But our people already had this information from the time of Enoch and Adam, Abraham. Our people knew all this stuff. So how is that Gentile information? Why is it that the Catholic Church, who's been telling everyone to not look at the stars, decides to build Lucifer, their infrared telescope, here in the Americas? Because actually you can see the planets way better from here. There's actually a place down in South America where you can really get a great view. So as you can tell, like, these lands were set up better to observe the stars for a reason, because that was our blessing. These people were not allowed to come over here. So therefore they would not have all this information, because that was a blessing given to the Israelites. If you can just build a telescope wherever and you'd have a great view, why would the Catholic Church be building telescopes over here in Arizona? Because these lands are specific for our people and the blessings that were given to our people. That's why. So therefore they got to set up some people to sit there and say, oh, you're gonna get accursed for chasing after this Gentile information. But they can't prove that it's Gentile information. So they just do exactly what the Gentiles have been doing the whole time. Just like in the movie of Nat Turner, Birth of a Nation. And if you look at the trailer, it was like Nat Turner was a little boy and he got a book. It was like the Bible, and the woman said, "Oh no, that's not for your kind. Those are for white folks." And you guys are still pushing that same old narrative. Oh, those books aren't for you. Those books are for white folks. Oh, that Kabbalah, that's Gentile information. Oh, that's Zohar, that's Gentile information. You're doing exactly what that white woman did in the Birth of a Nation trailer when she told young Nat Turner, don't read that book. That's not for your kind. Those are white people books. It's exactly the same thing you're still doing. So that's what we can tell which team you're playing for. Don't make any videos. Don't help your nation. Don't bring any information to your nation. Make a 15, 20-minute video once every 2 months and then think you're leading somebody somewhere. So get on down the road with that. Here's another picture here of the original Cubans. Not looking like the same Cubans you see over there in Florida. The ones they always try to be shoving down your throat every time it's time for some election, and they're trying to show the supposed white Cubans. See, people are mixed. Black people can make both. We're not the recessive. We're the dominant genes. We make light skin, brown skin, dark skin, all of that. Okay, so we would have been a mixed people. But see, the world wants to portray it as if it was only so-called light and white people that were here. And in our history, it's just, oh no, you guys were just slaves. You got shipwrecked, and then you became slaves. And everyone's Confederate, but that's okay. That's why the Most High is bringing out his information through his people at this time. But here's a picture of what the Cubans were looking like when they were going around checking out the different islands. Here's more of them right here. More of the Aborigines. So you can't be going off of just, I'm not going off of just what people look like. I'm going off of the spirit. Like I said, there are going to be a lot of people. They're going to be surprised. I said, you got to go off of that spirit. Some people are our people. And some of them have made covenants with the priesthood of Mahan to go out and stir confusion. And that's exactly what they're doing. But the Most High is going to expose everyone. There's more of them right here. But these aren't our people though, right? These are Gentile books. Gentile information. Gentile pictures too, right? This is the information that they don't want you to see. This is your history that they don't want you to see. These were these Aborigines were looking like. And the priesthood of Mahan doesn't want you to realize that they were the ones that were massacring all of our people, turning all of our cities into cemeteries like they're complaining about happening today. But see, they just erase all that, scrub all that. There was nobody here. We just inherited these great cities. The people that were here just disappeared. Oh, but now we got all these slaves too. But we brought all of them from Africa. We brought these millions and millions of people from Africa, which would be impossible. I said, if you got a ship loaded down with hundreds of people, where's all the water at to sustain these people for 90 days, 80, however long you're going to be in there? Where's all the water they're going to need? You see, these people are already here, but they can't let you know that. So therefore, they got to sell you on a whole new thing. Were some people brought here? Of course, they might have been brought here, but you're forgetting the fact that many of them were already here. And so you got to search out your history through the Most High. See where the Holy Spirit and the Most High are going to lead you, and what they're going to give you for your history, and not just trust in these Gentiles who have lied to us about absolutely everything. It's another picture. Wow, it's amazing how these Aborigines are looking. Look at people all around them too. How they're being portrayed. They had to change all that up. But that's okay, because that's why the Most High now is raising up his people to bring his message. And that's why you hear like people like Paul and Adrian. Hey, Paul's bringing out good information. But it's like, you're talking about, you guys are talking about, yes, everyone's bound down to the Catholic Church. Yes, they're the religious wing, and you got England, they're the financial wing, and America, they're the military wing. I'm like, yes. Now, what makes you think that if that's what's been going on now for the last few hundred years, why would you think that the New World Order is now coming? That sounds like the New World Order has already been here. Not that it's coming, it has been here, and now it is going on its way out. We are coming to the time of Aquarius. Pluto has returned. We got 2 more years for the cycle to continue, to finish up. And as you can see, every day things are getting worse and worse. And now you got the Pope coming out. Oh, you guys need to stop this massacre. As if they have some leg to stand on. They all know the history. So therefore, you think they're going to listen to the Pope? I doubt it, because they know the history of the Catholic Church. They know how they got their power. They got their power through rape, rob, murder, stealing, and then hiding all their actions and hiding where they got all their power from, where they got all their wealth from. And they got it from stealing from people that look just like this. We were the kings and queens of this earth. I want to share a couple of hold on fast. Let me find my I got a couple of TikToks I wanted to share because it was some really good information. Let me make sure I get them real fast. Because they were bringing some really good information about history, about why things are the way that they are. Okay, hold on real fast. Let me make sure that I got. Talking about the things that were here, the people that were here before.
The whole place out and then take over their buildings. New York was already there for thousands of years. San Francisco was there for thousands of years. Los Angeles was there for thousands of years. They were built by the indigenous people who were black and Indians as well.
Oh.
The black people, they are the original owners of America. Black people, African Americans, they were already here, and they plagued them out. And they stole the Smithsonian Institute, which is Jesuit controlled, stole their knowledge, stole their history, and now we're just left wondering who we are, where we come from, where we're going. We don't know. And just go into.
Okay. So this guy just said, I'm going to play it again. This was actually from Aboriginal B on Instagram. He had posted this. Okay, I'm going to play it again just real quick.
The whole place out and then take over their buildings. New York was already there for thousands of years. San Francisco was there for thousands of years. Los Angeles was there for thousands of years. They were built by the indigenous people who were black and Indians as well.
Oh.
The black people, they are the original owners of America. Black people, African Americans, they were already here. And they plagued them out, and they stole the Smithsonian Institute, which is Jesuit controlled, stole their knowledge, stole their history, and now we're just left wondering who we are, where we come from, where we're going. We don't know, and just go into a country, plague the whole out.
So it's about how they go. We know the other nations come in, go to another country, plague the whole place, take whatever they want, and that's exactly what they've done. And then as we are now trying to go back and get our information, our physical history and our spiritual history, they got to raise up people to be roadblocks. But that's okay. That's what they do. I'm going to play another one real quick.
Black people or melanated people have ruled the world. This is why they keep your history from you. I agree with that. I don't think they want black folks to know how powerful their cultures are, how deep their spiritual beliefs were, but and I think they hold that back from you. But in saying that, if we're going to blame the white man today, He's just a new king, and he's only been the king for about a little over 400 years. So we've been under white domination for about 400 years. But who cares who sewed the first flag? Who cares who invented peanut butter? Who cares who the first black man was to pee in a white bathroom? You ain't never came out because you used to be the power of this planet. You used to rule this planet. You could do it again. You're 90% of the fucking world population. And you're going to tell me 10% keep you down. 11 out of the 12,000 years black people or melanated people have ruled the world. This is why they keep your history from you. I agree with.
Okay, so he's letting you know that for the vast majority of the time, so-called black people or melanated people have been ruling the world. And they had to hide all that information. And that's exactly what they've been doing. And now they set up people that look like us to be roadblocks because they knew that we were going to awaken. We were destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So for us to come back, we need to get that knowledge again. And for people that you're going to sit here and talk about other people, you know, worshiping knowledge or whatever, I'm like, bruh, you're not even bringing forth any knowledge. If you're going 1 to 2 months without even bringing out a video, what kind of knowledge are you bringing out? You're doing the work of the priesthood of Mahan. The priesthood of Mahan is definitely happy with us not studying, not reading, not getting our information, not growing. If you want to know who's part of the priesthood of Mahan, you just look to see the ones who don't want you to read, who don't want you to not get knowledge, don't want you to return back to the Most High. That lets you know everything you need to know. These are the kind of places that were built before the Spaniards got here. So therefore, it's important to know who were the people that were here before the Europeans got here. They don't want you to know that these types of structures were built by you. They give them Spanish names, which then throws people off even more because they think that, you know, they associate the language with these buildings. These buildings were here way before people that spoke Spanish got here. But this is what the Most High is working to give back to us. That's why you're seeing all these upheavals worldwide, because the Father is getting ready to restore his people physically and spiritually. It's already been decreed in the stars. The other nations already know it. Like I said before, you don't see much, you don't hear much from the pastors and the priests, because when they do say things, like what Pope said about the massacre and turning cities into cemeteries, people who have been awakened can see right through that BS. Can see how hypocritical that sounds from someone who is the head of an organization that's done that worldwide. Who's the head of an organization that sets up our people to pit us one against another. It all comes from, like Paul said, all these things come from the Catholic Church. They're just executed on different arms of this new world order that's already been here. You got your religious arm, the Catholic Church, priesthood of Mahan. You got your financial arm, England. You got your military arm, the United States. And now the Most High is working to destroy all of that. That's what Pluto is definitely talking about. The death of one system, the death of that new world order that came into effect over here in 1492. Most High is destroying that system and getting ready to re-implement his people and put them back on top, following the Most High. This is an example of what the people look like before the Spaniards got here. Now, in this book, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, this would be like the first edition. I have the older edition, and they took all these pictures out. So like we said, this is why they tell you don't read. You're worshiping knowledge. You're doing too much. You're studying too much. Because the Most High is exposing the other nations. He's exposing Psalms 83 conglomerate, and they don't want to be exposed. So therefore, you reading and studying, that's now evil. You reading and studying is now evil. That's going to get you cursed because that's Gentile information. You see that? Check this out, number 6. Without Atlantis, how can we explain the fact that the early Egyptians were depicted by themselves as red men on their own monuments? And on the other hand, how can we account for the representations of Negroes on the monuments of Central America? Well, hold on. I thought that they were all shipwrecked. I thought they were all shipwrecked over here and they were a bunch of slaves. So I guess now in Central America, I guess they used to just, make monuments out of slaves, right? Oh yeah, I got this slave here. Why don't we make a monument? You know what? Let's just start depicting them on monuments. No, because these were your kings and queens. These were your people of authority. And these were the people that they've been trying to hide this whole time. And they've done a damn good job of it. And you still got people that look like us trying to keep you from getting this information. No, man, we all came from Africa. We all were on slave ships. We all came from that little itty bitty piece of land over there in the Mediterranean. We were not already here. Well, that's funny because these books say otherwise. And the fact that they take these pictures out and they hide this information just confirms everything the Most High has been trying to show us. So again, and on the other hand, how can we account for the representations of Negroes on the monuments of Central America? Desiree Charnay, now engaged in exploring those monuments, has published in the North American Review for December 1880 photographs of a number of idols exhumed at San Juan de Teotihuacan, from which I, selecting the following strikingly Negroid faces. Wow, this came from San Juan de Teotihuacan, huh? And look at these faces. But I thought they were all a bunch of slaves that just got shipwrecked. You see, if you don't get the first edition, that's cool. But if you do get it, oh, damn. You start getting the older editions, you start to see how they changed everything up. So you start to be able to see how they have figured things out. Start bringing that information out. Oh, well, shoot, we got to figure something out. You know what? Get this Negro out here that looks like them to tell them that what they're doing is evil. And if they do it, they're going to be damned to hell. So you get some guy out here who doesn't make videos, who doesn't teach the people anything, telling you that you getting books and you reading books and getting information is going to lead you to hell because you're worshiping knowledge. The devil's cold, ain't he? He's real slick. I'm going to read this out again. Desiree Charnay, now engaged in exploring those monuments, has published in the North American Review for December 1880 photographs of a number of idols exhumed at San Juan de Teotihuacan, from which I select the following strikingly Negroid faces. And they took all this stuff out of the later editions. Besides the sculptures of long bearded men seen by the explorer at Chichen Itza, there were tall figures of people with small heads, thick lips, and curly short hair, excuse me, or wool, regarded as Negroes. So this is in Chichen Itza. Looking like a bunch of Negroes there too, in Cancun. Again, besides the sculptures of long bearded men seen by the explorer at Chichen Itza, there were tall figures of people with small heads, thick lips, and curly short hair or wool, regarded as Negroes. We always see them as standard or parasol bearers, but never engage in actual warfare. The following cut is from the court of the Palace of Palenque, figured by Stevens. The face is strongly Ethiopian. The figure below represents a gigantic granite head found near the volcano of Tuxtla in the Mexican state of Veracruz at Chaxapa. The features are unmistakably Negroid, as the Negroes have never been a seagoing race. Oh, here we go, trying to explain it away. The presence of these faces among the antiquities of Central America proves one of two things: either the existence of the land connection between America and Africa, because we know we're allergic to water, I guess. You see, they're telling you what you Negroes were back then. They're telling you that you guys were never on the oceans. You never had ships. And that's how they are. Okay? A land connection between America and Africa, the Atlantis, as revealed by the deep sea soundings of the Challenger, or commercial relations between America and Africa through the ships of the Atlanteans, or some other civilized race whereby the Negroes were brought to America as slaves at a very remote epoch. So you see, no matter where you go in these books, they have the same Psalms 83, story going on. Either land had to be connected because us Negroes can't swim and we don't make boats and anything like that, or someone else, some other civilized race brought us over here and had us as slaves. But we were, in these high positions. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make any sense. That's why, take the information. I don't need their you will take the information, but I don't need your explanation. I don't need you guys to try to break it down, because we already know as soon as your mouths start moving, the lies start spewing out. I'll take the information, but I do not want your explanation. Just like I'll take the Bible myself. I don't need your explanation. I'll take that information. I don't need your explanation. I'll wait for the Holy Spirit to give it to me. So again, you got these great structures, and they're always trying to take credit for everything. So we know what's up. So we know what's up. Most High is giving it. He's going to give it all back to us. That's what's written in the stars. That's the beautiful thing right now. We're getting our information back about the physical things going on. We're getting our spiritual information back. We're getting our information about how to read and understand these stars once again and these planets. And that's what you're seeing going on right now. And it's a beautiful thing to see how the Most High is working. He's exposing the ones that have infiltrated our people and seem as if, there are people, but you can see that they're not about getting this information. They're not about getting this knowledge. They want to keep us destroyed for a lack of knowledge. But the Most High will not be stopped. And his plan will come to fruition. His plan will be executed. And that's just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful thing. All praise is the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who was the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom, family.